An FC173 that was on Kate's wedding dress. I think they cut out the motifs and put it on the train. I'm son of the late John Mason and grandson of Frank Mason, and ninth probably generation making lace in Ilkeston. A picture of the old employees, I don't know, used to be menders and work in the office a long time ago. Florrie here, she worked until she was 90 as a mender. Can you see in the book? And you've got these, this is really our scrapbook of laundry laces, outerwear laces, Vivienne Westwood. That's Vivienne Westwood herself in a dress. And I don't know what else we've got. Jerry Hall. That's Japanese. Madonna in a copy of a pattern, I think. Well, there's Kate before she was married in a dress. We never found out who actually made that.
Ian Perfumer, 72, had worked as a twist hand, somebody who operated machines at Colonial Lace, producing Nottingham lace for 56 years and 7 months. Today, this retired lace maker was invited to back factory and record his role in the crafting of the Duchess of Cambridge's wedding dress.
The biggest one had to be the connection with Kate Middleton and making and adding to her wedding dress. I was approached by Charles Mason on the Friday, and he said to me on the Thursday, I think it was, he says, are you going to watch the wedding on the Friday? And I says, well, yes, of course. We've got the day off and I'll definitely be watching. And all he said was, keep an eye on the wedding dress. And of course that made me think a little bit, but when it came to actually seeing the wedding, you couldn't get close enough, the shots weren't close enough for us to be able to say, well, we made that.
This is the Colonial Lace Company, the very last remaining leather lace manufacturers in the UK. This is the outside of the lace factory, and it shut in July. Because of the COVID-19, no lace workers work at this moment.
That it goes backwards and forwards in the machine. On going to the back of the machine, the threads, all the threads that you can see in the machine, move in one direction, and then when the carriage comes to the front, they move again. That enables this carriage, or the bobbin, to twist the thread around each motion. Each motion is making the bars move either way, depending on the amount of droppers that come up. I came to this company, Cluny Lace, in 2006, and I've been here ever since. I've since retired, and I have enjoyed all my life in the company. When I first started, it was basically because it was the best paid job around. So I came in it for the money, but along the way, I've made a very good living out of lace. It's not so good now. And I'm still as passionate about lace as I always have been. It's like a disease. Once you've been in the trade and you've got an affection for it, it's very difficult to stop being affected that way. How did I feel when I retired? I was definitely sad. It was very hard. The day that I left was very hard. I got quite emotional, I must admit, because I've still got a few years left in me, and I could still do the job, but there were certain reasons why I felt I had to pack up work. What I've done from that, what I see now is I've got a lot more time to do things. I've got different interests that I hadn't got time for before, and there's certainly jobs I can do now that I couldn't do before because I hadn't got the time. So it's just opened up other things, other areas. But I am sad to leave the industry. Coming back here today, I came up the stairs and listened to that machine running, and that.
This twist hand worker's name is Tom St. Johnson. He discussed the family inheritance and the future of traditional lace making.
Because of the conditions and the money isn't as good as what it used to be. But even so, it is difficult to attract young people to this, it is an unattractive seeming industry. But I have enjoyed it. I've enjoyed my time here. It's been interesting, and I like working in the old machinery. Different problems every day, different solutions to those problems.
Back to the history, this is the lace gallery of Nottingham Castle, presented all kinds of archive and lace collection for tourists, including the delicate lace wedding dress. This is the latest event hosted by Framework Knitter's Museum. You can see the candlelight in every lace machine of the 18th century and how it truly works controlled by Matthew. As a young lace craft, Matthew Hamilton tells us his story about lace.
My story at this museum goes back to my grandmother, and she used to work here. And so, because of my grandmother, I've had it in the family since I was born. And eventually, about 11 years ago now, is when I decided I'll start volunteering. And then, as it turned out, I liked it. So I kept going, and it's led to what I do today. But things come, things go. It's the way that things are. But here in museums like this one is where we do our absolute best to keep it alive and pay tribute to the history of the city. We're always looking for new opportunities to improve. And we also have a very nice team of people who are learning these machines to carry the skill on. And so as they learn, they can start producing and then really help keep the skill alive. In here, and there are other museums around the city that do a similar thing to us. But here we are doing the practical side of things and actually using the machines.
This is the Nottingham Industry Museum. Inside of this museum also save the old lace machine. It also shows the glory of part in Nottingham. Coming to the current lace market, there are several plaques and monuments silently showing this section of Nottingham's lace history.
I've been working with the Lace Archive since 2006, and the Lace Archive that we hold here at Nottingham Trent University is connected to the beginning of the art school. So I initially became interested in the relationship that the lace industry had here with the art school and the beginnings of the school. So it's the last remaining lace maker in England. There is a company in Scotland called Morton Young and Borland. So there are two in the UK, but the English one, Cluny Lace, it is a really small company, but they produce amazing fabric, and that their fabric is very well sought from sort of key designers. They've produced laces for royal weddings. You know, Princess Kate wore some of their lace, and I hope they will. I hope they will continue and go from strength to strength, because it's a real artisan craft product now that they're producing, and it really deserves to be valued. So in 2013, I started working with some colleagues from Nottingham Castle, and we wanted to create some opportunities to share the lace heritage of the city. This archive is very connected to the beginning of the art school. So the art school in Nottingham opened in 1843, and it essentially was set up to support the local lace manufacturers, to improve the design that they were able to use and improve their commercial business. So this is like a business records, and then in here this is like a salesman's book. A salesman's box. So this was the company that all of these wages were from, and it was called Walker's. It was called J.W. Walker. And we're lucky enough to have their business records and some of their photographs and some of the history of their business. My job really is to take care of it for future generations, but also to use it so that our students can get inspired by this creativity, and to do as much research and find out as much about it as I can.
We've already lost that expertise. Nottingham was the first place to learn how to do it with machines, and that's why we became so powerful and so wealthy. With globalisation and with the ability of the rest of the world to produce textiles more cheaply than us, a lot of that business was lost by the 1950s. So now what you find is that the businesses that were in Nottingham are still powerful in the world, but they're not really based in Nottingham. So we've lost that industry, and there are certain aspects of it around, but for instance there's only one shop that sells original Nottingham lace. Yes, we will preserve the buildings. There are schemes to make sure the buildings are not changed in a way that doesn't suit the architecture, and there are schemes to actually renovate some of those buildings. So we will protect it as an area, as a neighbourhood, but we've lost the industry.
So women made an enormous contribution to the lace making industry. I think the lace makers wanted to employ women because they had small dexterous fingers for doing the very detailed and delicate work that was required. Obviously lace making isn't done by hand anymore, and I suspect that the female work.
Darby Brand, a gallery original gift of Nottingham lace located in Lace Market. The owner of this store tried to introduce the Nottingham lace.
Yeah.